Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy Carson Fox with another edition of Fox on West Virginia Mountaineer Sports. And we're taking a break from football, even though I know a lot of high school class of 2025 is underway. A big weekend at the Pushkar Center in getting some recruits on campus, getting a commitment today that was a big one, a 4-star running back. But instead, I want to take a pause and let's talk about the sport that is in season, in the thick of it. And congratulations to the West Virginia University baseball team advancing to the super regionals of the NCAA playoffs for the first time in program history, winning the Tucson Regional with victories over Dallas Baptist University and then Grand Canyon University twice, avoiding the number 1 seed host team Arizona, who went 0-2 in this tournament. So not great for the Pac-12 champs in their last year in the conference before joining the Big 12. But regardless, Mountaineers shining out in the Grand Canyon State. Derek Clark being named the most outstanding player of the Tucson Regional. Clark, Reed Chumley, Logan Suave, Tyler Switalski, all being named to the all-tournament team. And I will pause on my congratulations and exuberance and just admit to myself, or to all of you tuning into this video, that I'm really taking an L for this one. Not that I was ever, and I would never root against the Mountaineers. Never. I don't care if they were playing checkers. I would never root against the old gold and blue. But I gotta say, I'm taking an L just like I did when I made my video about West Virginia, and Mountaineer Nation should hope that West Virginia punished Dana Holgerson and the Houston Cougars on the gridiron. I was really mad when West Virginia went 0-2 in the Big 12 tournament, leaving its hands in the hands of the NCAA playoff hopes, in the hands of the selection committee. For 3 years in a row now, West Virginia finishing 0-2 in back-to-back losses, first at Kansas City, and now the tournament's been moved. So I just was a little bit frustrated, and I think that was kind of, to read the temperature of the room of Mountaineer Nation of the last couple of years, I think that's how many of the not only baseball program, but just athletic program, if you're a football fan, basketball fan, baseball fan, any sport, we're feeling with the baseball team, because much like NCAA basketball, baseball is all about the postseason. Now, the regular season, it's fun to beat your rivals. It's great to see how well West Virginia has done since this the Backyard Brawl baseball rivalry has been brought back in recent years, playing games at PNC Park, home of the Pittsburgh Pirates, playing Penn State. But it's really, the entire sport is all about May and June. You can go, in the case of the defending national champions, just like the LSU Tigers are doing right now in a game that means a lot in terms of what's going to happen with West Virginia potentially next weekend. And you can win a national title. Next year, you can win 90% or more of your games. But if you falter in your conference tournament, and if you put up a lackluster showing and get ousted early out of your regional, then it's going to look like a bad season. For better or worse, however you judge the culmination of an entire season. And there's a lot that this West Virginia program can celebrate over the course of the last really 8-9 years. Since this program has reached now its modern era under head coach Randy Mazey. But that's the thing, is there was so much regular season success, and West Virginia had just been knocking on the door. For years and years and years, it feels like that West Virginia had been on the precipice of finally winning a meaningful tournament. Not just a regular season title when they were the co-champs last year, only really to come up short, having to win something meaningful to, print the T-shirts, raise the banner, put it in the, baseball facility for all recruits to see. You have to do something to earn, I would say, a postseason title. So I'm not going to knock anything against that co-championship regular season title of the Big 12 last year. I'm just saying that fans like me care about what happens in the postseason for this sport. Regular season for football, totally different. But again, I think it's very similar to basketball in that regard because there are just so many games. And when it comes all down to it, I mean, that's the way Major League Baseball is too. You can have 100 wins. In the case of like my team, the Pittsburgh Pirates in 2015, losing the wild card against a red-hot Chicago Cubs team, and the season felt like really for nothing because you don't have really anything necessarily to show for it. So whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, I'd love to hear what you think of that take. Leave your comments here on YouTube. But like, again, chronicling how West Virginia has been so close to something meaningful for years, going back all the way to 2016. West Virginia, and what a frustrating game this was. Loses to TCU 11-10 in the Big 12 tournament final, doesn't get an NCAA playoff bid. They were just, that year was so much fun in that Big 12 tournament. You thought they were going to, lots of offense, electricity in that game in 2016. I remember it well, only for West Virginia to lose it and doesn't get anything because of it. Then finally, West Virginia in 2017 cracks. Like, that was an awesome year for West Virginia athletics because the football team won 10 games, went to the Russell Athletic Bowl, if you remember that, down in Orlando with Skylar Howard at quarterback. The basketball team went to the Sweet 16 under Bob Huggins and that awesome Press Virginia team. And then the baseball team makes it to an NCAA Regional. The best year that West Virginia's had as an athletic department, at least in my opinion, if I'm arguing this, was that 2016-17 academic year because of those big three sports. So, West Virginia loses in the Big 12 tournament semis, gets an NCAA regional bid, loses to winner Wake Forest in their second game of the losers bracket. So you could just feel that momentum building again. So, with that feeling of the basketball program, the football program of what was happening with Will Greer coming on the next football season, the baseball program really seemed to take off. But then in 2018, West Virginia makes the Final Four of the Big 12 tournament, does not get an NCAA bid. 2019, finally, this was the Alek Manoah year. What a sensation that he was. West Virginia gets to the Final Four of the Big 12 tournament, hosts a first ever regional, but then loses to Texas A&M 11-10. Man, that score, 11-10, to Texas A&M in the losers bracket. Second game, doesn't advance. And, wasn't the greatest showing by Alek Manoah in his, losing to Duke, who I think was the top seed, or West Virginia was the top seed, but was the number 2 seed in that bracket, and just couldn't get over the hump to have anything other than just, hosting a regional, getting to that point in time, but not winning it. So then 2020, we don't have it because of COVID. 2021, once again, West Virginia gets to the Final Four of the Big 12 tournament, does not get an NCAA bid. 2022, this was arguably the most frustrating year for the baseball program in modern history. Goes 33-20, loses back-to-back games in the Big 12 tournament, so this is really when this started, and no NCAA bid. Last year, back-to-back L's in the Big 12 tournament. You win one ball game, you beat Ball State, of the NCAA Lexington Regional, but then you get blasted 10-0 against Kentucky. So that's the I chronicled it out of what West Virginia's been able to do in this modern era in the Big 12. Now I know much of it about baseball is getting hot at the right time, and there's a lot of baseball luck that goes into this. What do I mean by that? Well, if you saw that NCAA, awesome highlight play that JJ Wetherholt made at shortstop where he jumped up into the air and made that awesome catch, sometimes you just need batted balls to go your way. You need to have some, how did he do that kind of plays. Like a Hakeem Nicks in the Gator Bowl, or Meineke Car Care Bowl, if you want to relate it to football in 2008. Sometimes you just need the plays, the lucky plays to go your way. And then, of course, no doubt, there's a lot of Major League Baseball grade talent that you have to have on your roster. So guys who are foregoing opportunities to go pro out of high school, wanting to go to college, or guys who are destined for college anyway. and you get them on your teams, build a program. Now the momentum that NCAA baseball has as a sport in partnership with ESPN, getting the College World Series, the Super Regionals, all on cable television. Like college baseball it just continues to get bigger and bigger each and every year. So the sport, and I see the sport only getting bigger as we now enter into this era of revenue sharing. And you're seeing that more and more in terms of NIL. Here, the head coach of Coastal Carolina talk about it today on Twitter and talking about how the big boys spend in college baseball these days. But, what I would say is what's different about this 2024 team, going back from all of the teams that I've talked about, even that Alek Manoah-led 2019 team, is that these players have an underlying reason to win because there's a finality to this season because of the closing of the career of head coach Randy Mazey. So what do I mean by that? And if you ever played college sports, I didn't, but if you played high school sports, even go back to middle school youth sports, and you think to yourself, nowadays, my birthday was yesterday, so turned 31, so I oftentimes think back to my athletic playing career and think, well, if I would have done something differently here, if I would have just trained a little bit harder, if I would have, just done XYZ differently. Maybe there are so many distractions with today's college athletes, from the NIL, an agent interaction and really playing, pay for play of what it seems like the professionalization of college sports, to social media, to, pressure to play professionally, this, that, and the other thing, it's almost celebrity status. Because all games are on television in some way, shape, or form, is that I feel as if, and this could be, going across football, this could be against basketball. Sorry, got a little bark there for my dog. Sorry, she's going through. But what I'm trying to say is I think these players have all of the distractions put aside and wanting to win this tournament. Already have done it in the regionals, but wanting to end this season off on the right note for Randy Mazey. And I can't commend them any more than I already, fantastic for these players, fantastic for this program. Congratulations of what you've already accomplished, but of what they can further accomplish down the road here and whoever they play between LSU and North Carolina in this super regional. And that's what I just think it is let's compare, for example, and being able to rewrite history. I'm very happy for shortstop JJ Wetherholt and how he's been able to pick up, obviously not the kind of fool's junior season that he would hope to have in Morgantown because of the injury in which he missed a lot of time. But he now has this opportunity, is already proving it in the way he finished the regular season and into the postseason, being this leader of this Mountaineer team, to kind of write the WVU legacy that another star in his own right, Deuce McBride, really didn't stay long enough to write. Deuce McBride on the basketball court, only being there for 2 years, missed part of, his freshman year due to COVID, comes back, the team gets to the NCAA tournament, but gets bounced by Syracuse, and still a matchup that I have scars from because of that. But it's the time is so short that I don't think that these players necessarily realize it, that for, 5 years to play 4 seasons, if you're blessed enough to get a red shirt, or just 4 seasons if you don't get that red shirt, goes by just like that. So all the for a lot of these sports, as the NCAA say, over 99% of them don't go on to play professionally. So for these guys, this is the last thing that they're going to do as part of their baseball careers. And you say to yourself, well, all these other programs across the country think the same thing, every single. But I don't know if today's Gen Z player necessarily has that same degree of focus because of all of the distractions that I just laid out for you. that they think necessarily about that in the moment. That, I need to give, even on a cold 40-degree rainy day in Manhattan, Kansas, and West Virginia might be getting beat by 2 touchdowns, on the football field, are all 85 scholarship players going to have their full 100% attention on achieving one play, 2 plays consecutively? Is that focus there? And we're seeing this in the professional ranks, even of, just guys, losing cell phones out of their pocket, sliding into third base, or, or some guys potentially betting on games. You have to call that into question, the integrity of the sport. So again, there's just so many distractions, and we think as a fan, we who eat, sleep, breathe, live West Virginia athletics, like myself, who bleed gold and blue, who would, give all of their heart, blood, sweat, and tears, if you were a football player, basketball player, a baseball player. Sometimes I just feel like in those kinds of moments, again, let's give another example. A February game against Canisius. And you're like, are you really trying to, I don't know, I guess, do you get in your head when you have an 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 type of game? Like, could you it's only natural to think of what could be, what could have been. So I don't think that these players in this moment, in this regional, we saw it, and moving ahead for this super regional, there is just an attempt, like, there is a draw of attention that all of these players have locked in to win for Coach Mazey. So it's awesome. Grab your popcorn. It's theater. Hopefully this team can win an Academy Award and go out there and win a national championship. How would that be? That of the 3 major sports at West Virginia University, between football, basketball, and baseball, the first team to win a national championship in the year of our Lord 2024 would be the baseball program. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm not necessarily going that far, but how cool would that be? So for head coach Randy Mazey, this is obviously the feather in the cap to his WVU legacy, getting the super regional appearance, 4 regional appearances, a Big 12 regular season co-championship, as I mentioned last year, Big 12 Coach of the Year in 2019 with Alek Manoah as his Friday starter, 3rd most wins in program history, obviously the most of the modern era for a program that almost closed its doors about a dozen years ago, and thinking, how in the world is West Virginia going to transition from the Big East to the Big 12 in baseball? Mazey being the head coach when Monongalia County Ballpark was built. I know it wasn't necessarily because of him. Oliver Luck and a whole bunch of different other boosters bringing in that, the money to build that Pantheon, that beautiful stadium down there in Morgantown and Granville. And then, of course, coaching Alek Manoah to a top 10 MLB draft pick, and who's to say that JJ Wetherholt might go higher? So what he has done for this program, and it's crazy to think over 10 years that he's been at the helm of the program, of what he's been able to accomplish from a program that was just about ready to close its doors, building it up over time, and finally reaching this point in 2024, his final season, and then going to be able to stick around. That's what all coaches want to be able to do, is they still want to be able to get paid. They want to be able to hang around the program. They don't want to have to deal with NIL negotiations, and they just want to be able to have the no pressure of having to deal with the losses and the headaches that come with it. So he's going into a sweetheart position as consultant or whatever you put it on, coach emeritus per se. And the other thing is, I looked this up not that long ago, and much like now Darren DeVries in basketball, and same with Neil Brown, is Randy Mazey isn't one of the highest paid coaches in college baseball. Of what the SEC and also in my research the ACC spends on its baseball coaches, wow. So in this new era, I know it always comes back to money and how is West Virginia allocating its dollars to be able to financially support all of these athletic programs. It's big three. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of, how does West Virginia allocate its dollars, but I do really hope, because it's been very fun under this Randy Mazey era, and by all accounts, Steve Sabins is the recruiter doing all the behind the scenes work with the roster, finding JJ Wetherholt and bringing him on to the program, that I think this will be a smooth transition from Mazey to Sabins, a guy who's getting his first crack as a head coach, and not going to command the kind of dollar that I think Mazey deserves and what he would warrant if he were to stay back past 2024. I don't think for this episode I necessarily want to talk about, my theories as to why he's potentially stepping away. But at 58 years old, I have some theories. So I won't share that for today's episode, but I don't think that it necessarily needs to be a part of this story. That I think that 2024 for the Randy Mazey head coach of West Virginia University baseball era is a great, climax. So I hope nothing but the best for this team. I hope that Grant Hussey's not that injured. It was either Grant Hussey or Reed Chumley who left the game on Sunday against Grand Canyon with a hamstring injury. Being one of the 3-4 hitters in this lineup, you got to have him there. And I hope Derek Clark can continue to shove, whether it's against the Tar Heels, whether against the Tigers. So it's fun being invested into Mountaineer baseball. I've been, going to games now at the new ballpark. I try to at least make one every single year. Try to make it as part of the back-to-back with the spring game. If I can't get to any more, at least just that one. So go Mountaineers. I hope you pull away in the Super Regional, can advance to the College World Series in Omaha. But if not, Mountaineer Nation is very proud of you. And, for Randy Mazey and all the leadership within the baseball program, you have done us well. And we Mountaineer fans, even though we sometimes can be jaded people and have very, very, very high expectations, I think it's just all because of all the success West Virginia's had in football and basketball, and just think that we should be competitive across the board in all sports. So with this baseball program, just thankful for where we are, looking back to where West Virginia was at the end of its Big East tenure and into the Big 12. So this is awesome, and I can't wait to follow it through the weekend. So thanks for tuning in. Love to hear your thoughts. You think I'm wrong? You think I'm right? Is there more to be had for this baseball program in the future? What does West Virginia need to do to be one of the power players in college baseball? Do you want to see West Virginia put the kind of financial resources into baseball that would make West Virginia potentially a national top 25 program consistently? Because that's what it really takes. If it would mean to despite basketball and baseball or football in some way, shape, or form. So if you have any intimate knowledge of the baseball program and where you think they've been and where they're headed, I'd love to hear from you. Comment here on YouTube. So thanks for tuning in. Love to have you as a subscriber as the channel as well. So smash that subscribe button and tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog that I do this each and every week and have a lot of fun doing it. So take care, everybody. Hail West Virginia.